What are your two biggest weaknesses?
I would say my two biggest weaknesses are overexerting myself and kind of tending to kind of want to control things too much.
So give me an example of when you overexerted yourself and what the implications were.
Okay, there was a time where whenever I was at XTO, and kind of how that worked was there's basically 6 people above me and they all had 6 different jobs, but I had to help out everyone. And so I had a big project that I was working on for one person, and then as I'm working on that project, which took up my whole day, 2 more people came and also gave me projects. Instead of saying, you know, hey, like I'm really busy with this, I'll definitely try to get that to you as soon as possible. I kind of just said, okay, yeah, definitely I'll do it, and then they kind of were angered at me whenever the project wasn't done and they wanted it to be done. And
so you missed deadlines that you took on too much.
Mm-hmm.
So have you learned from that?
Definitely, I definitely have. Kind of that it's better to speak your mind and have something done right than to not speak your mind and have something not done at all.
So what's an example then when, you know, subsequent to that, you managed expectations more effectively?
Okay, there's a time this summer at Luther King whenever we were working on an investment project that basically resulted in us presenting a stock to the portfolio managers, and I had an analyst come to me and ask me, you know, if I would be interested in working on a model for him and kind of you know, messing around with it and talking to him about it, and I knew that I couldn't take that on at this week because I had to get the project done for the portfolio managers, so I just told him that I would definitely be very interested, and if he had time next week, I would definitely like to take on the project. But right now, I just couldn't do it.
And how about an example of your other weakness?
What was it? You like to be in control?
Yeah, you like to be in control. What does that mean?
It's just kind of like if I'm doing a project, I have trouble giving tasks to delegating tasks to other people because I'm scared that they may not do it to the quality that I know that I can do it, and if I'm in control, then I know that it's going to be done right, but if I give it to someone else, I don't know that for a fact, and so.
So your team members I have locked in a room, should they have said you're a control freak? Is that one of the adjectives?
I don't think that they would have said that.
Would they have acknowledged, all kidding aside, would they have acknowledged that that was a weakness for you in their opinion? Did it affect your dynamics on the team?
In this situation, I don't think that it did, but I would say in typical situations, it probably would.
So these seem very related to one another. You're a control freak, and then which is why you have problems managing expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you go about solving? You know, your one issue is that you overexert yourself, but maybe that's self-inflicted somewhat. So give me an example then. Give us an example where, you know, you've learned to not be so controlling.
I mean, again, I would go back to the tutor picking project because that's the first time I've ever really let control of something go to other people.
Is that why the one item was missed?
No, I mean, I think that no, I think that definitely could have happened either way.
But we'll let him off the hook here.
Yeah.
One thing you need to be ready for is you will get, there's a million different versions of the question, but at the end of the day, I asked it the most straightforward way. At the end of the day is, what are your weaknesses? The reason we ask this, everybody has them, right? It's about being self-aware because you're not able to work on your weaknesses if you don't know what they are. And I, in particular, am famous for this question, and I'm very nitpicky on the answer because when I ask the question, and I inevitably get, I'm a perfectionist. I work too hard. I push myself too much. From my perspective, you're working for me. Those aren't weaknesses. I want that on every member of my team. I want people that work too hard and push themselves into their perfections at the end of the day. So I think, you know, it's a tough question if you haven't thought about it because I think you have to, again, it's about being self-aware. The fact that you have weaknesses isn't going to be a shock to anyone. We all have them. I think it's being able to articulate what they are, give examples of them, and not only of when it's tripped you up, but also because you've acknowledged it, you've been working on it, how you've gotten better. So on your first one that you take on too much, I get that question a lot, or that when I get versions of that in an answer and I push people, I often have really hard time getting them to admit they've ever missed a deadline as a result. I take on way too much, and I'll say, well, what are the implications of that? Oh, well, nothing. You know, I mean, you never missed a deadline? No, you've never been like, you know, and it's kind of a BS answer at the end of the day, right? So at least you acknowledge that there actually was a negative implication on it. So again, I think it's one you can answer, but it's one that you're going to get tripped up on the interview if you haven't given it a lot of thought beforehand, and be ready with a thoughtful answer, because you're inevitably going to get some version of the question.
Yeah, I would say, you know, to that point, your answer needs to be thoughtful, and you should have a couple lined up, because you might hear 2, you might hear 3. They need to be thoughtful, ideally not cliche, but at the same time, don't ever shoot yourself in the foot, and don't give them ammo. I once interviewed a guy, this is a true story, and he gave the, I'm a perfectionist, and I said, okay, now give me a real weakness. And he fumbled around a little bit, and he finally said, I have a difficult time solving problems quantitatively. I would have preferred the perfectionist answer. You know, because after that, I was like, really? Like that's what you're gonna say in this is a quantitative interview. So you know, be mindful of who's interviewing you, and you know, try to think of something. And always, as Lori mentioned, try to find something that maybe was a weakness in the past and that it's a strength now. I mean, for me, I had a standard answer. I think it's probably been recycled around here, but it was about business memos. And when I got to my first internship, I realized how much different writing business memos were than, you know, creative writing in college or whatever, stylistic writing. And it was a little fluff, but I mean, it wasn't as cliche as the perfectionist answer, and it didn't shoot me in the foot, because I had tangible examples of where I'd improved, so it worked out. But be mindful of that, but also expect it. You'll get this question.